In 2 days' time, the UK government is going to vote on whether or not it should increase the tuition fees for university students. Now, I've been following this on the news a lot since it came about, and being at university myself, I have quite a large group of people I can rely on for what is going on in this case. But from the news reports of the student riots to what MPs have actually said and the general population and the taxpayers, it seems that no one really has a full picture or a clear point of view of what is actually going on. From what I can gather, it seems that the coalition government is planning to slash 8% of funding for education, and this is why they want to increase tuition fees, because with the 8% of funding lost for universities, they're going to need to make up the money somehow, and the only way they can think of doing this is by increasing fees up to £9,000. But from the rest of the legislation for the cutbacks in the government, it's only meant to be 5%, I think is what I read somewhere. And yet they're taking 8% from universities. I can understand why quite a lot of students are fed up with this and aren't impressed. It makes no sense as to why one department should have to suffer so much and have no reasons about it. I understand why people say that the students have to contribute towards their own education, but they do once they've finished the education. Once they've finished, we have to pay back £15 a week once we're earning £15,000 a year. May not seem like a lot, and it probably isn't, but if you earn more money, the amount of money you get taken off your wages every week is increased, corresponding to the amount you earn. But it seems unfair that they're saying that education is not a right and it's a privilege, and yet the majority of MPs have an education have an education in university. So does this mean that they should have to pay back the equivalent to what they would have spent if they were going to university now? Another thing that many taxpayers seem to misunderstand is the fact that all students in the first year go out and drink and party and don't do any studying at all. I know this is the case for some students. I live in a halls of residence and two of them do sports sciences. They don't really do much work because the majority of their work is coursework based, but business and music and languages all have to do a ridiculous amount of work. It's quite difficult to be able to go out and party every night if you're doing as much work as you're supposed to be doing. The person doing business in my halls has 9 exams in January that he has to revise for now, and since the beginning of term he's been reading the thickest book I have ever seen just to get his modules done for this semester. This is without the January exams. The person who's doing music has spent the majority of his nights in the music studio recording music for his coursework or writing essays for the technology part of his course. And the language student has had 4 exams already and has to do another 3 exams before Christmas starts. And she's supposed to do 25 hours of work outside of lectures each week. And yet, people are saying that it's a year-long party and you never learn anything. The problem is, the first year is important. It's important to studies and subjects that require basic knowledge of what you're studying. With languages, you don't have a basic knowledge of the grammar or the use of the language or as part of the culture or the way it's actually spoken in modern day life, you cannot study it and pass it in the second year, which is your first year of your actual degree. And I can understand why people are annoyed about the way that taxpayers have to pay for courses that do very little work. But the only way to get rid of this burden on the taxpayers is to get rid of courses that do not do anything to help your life. Sure, university is a privilege and is not a right for people, but it's a privilege that people like to choose as it can help them in the future. If you don't, I know the government want to scrap 3-year-long courses and do basic rush of 2-year courses, but does this mean that people who want to become doctors won't get all the training that they need? And will this be detrimental to our society in general? The problem is no one's looking towards long-term causes, and they seem to only focus on short-term. It'd be nice to know what other people thought on the subject, because this is just my own wanderings and opinions. But it's something that many people need to think about and need to understand more than what they already are doing. And no one seems to realise how important this is to the country as a whole. So yeah, if you want to give your thoughts, go for it. If not, whatever.